On June 4th, 1975, a chilling transmission crackled over CB radios across Nevada. A young boy's voice, trembling with fear, broke through the static. "My name's Timmy. I'm trapped in a blue pickup truck. My dad, I think he's dead. He had a heart attack, and we crashed." The boy said they'd been on a deer hunting trip when their truck veered into a ditch, trapping him inside with both doors jammed. Listeners in Nevada, Utah, and even parts of Oregon picked up the signal, which faded in and out over 3 days. "Please, someone help me," Timmy sobbed, his voice growing weaker with each transmission. A trucker in Idaho claimed the boy called himself Danny, not Timmy, adding to the confusion. Police launched a search in the Sierra Nevada mountains, focusing on remote ravines. "We're doing everything we can," a sheriff told frantic callers. A family from Arizona, reported missing on June 6th, had a son named Timmy, but they were found safe on June 7th, ruling them out. One ranger claimed to have spoken to the boy for hours, but Timmy couldn't provide an exact location. "I don't know where I am. The battery's dying," he whispered before the signal cut out for good on June 8th. The search was called off, with authorities citing no physical evidence. Some dismissed it as a hoax, but those who heard Timmy's desperate cries swear his terror was real. Was he a lost child, or something more sinister manipulating the airwaves? No one knows. In the summer of 1934, the Thompson family, living on a remote farm in Saskatchewan, Canada, began hearing strange noises coming from behind the wooden walls of their home. At first, it was just faint scratching, which they dismissed as mice. "Just set a trap, it's nothing," Mr. Thompson told his wife. But the sounds grew stranger, high-pitched squeaks, low growls, and an unsettling gurgling, like a child struggling to breathe. One night, the noises turned into words. "I'm Charlie, and I see you," a voice rasped from the walls. The family was stunned. Their youngest daughter, Clara, claimed to have seen the creature, a small, weasel-like figure with matted gray fur and a bushy tail. "I was born in Calcutta, 1850, it told her in a scratchy voice. "I'm a spirit, trapped in this form. A freak with hands and feet. You'd scream if you saw me." Clara, only 12, became oddly attached to the creature, calling it Charlie the mongoose. It spoke of being both a ghost and a living being, weaving tales of its travels across continents. "I'm cleverer than you'll ever know," it boasted. The family's story drew attention, with neighbors and reporters visiting the farm. Clara, who passed away in 2007, insisted until her final days that Charlie was real. "I didn't make him up," she said in a rare interview. "He was there, watching us." Whether Charlie was a spirit, a prank, or something else entirely, the Thompson family never escaped the unease that lingered in their home. In 2010, a group of friends in a small coastal town in Chile stumbled upon something that still haunts their nightmares. Miguel Torres, a 19-year-old local, was hanging out with his buddies in the quiet streets of Valparaiso just past midnight. They were joking around, reminiscing about a recent camping trip, when Miguel decided to record the moment on his phone. "Hey, keep it down. I'm filming this for the memories," he laughed. But as they chatted, a strange sound cut through the night, a sharp, scraping noise, like rocks being tossed against pavement. "What the hell was that?" one of his friends whispered. The group turned toward a patch of tall grass nearby, which was rustling violently, as if something was moving through it. At first, they assumed it was a stray animal, maybe a cat or a dog. But then, a small, humanoid figure emerged, no taller than a toddler, with unnaturally long arms and a grotesque, twisted face. "Is that a person?" Miguel stammered, his phone shaking in his hand. The creature scuttled across the street, its movements jerky and unnatural, before vanishing into an alley. The group stood frozen, their laughter replaced by dread. Since that night, locals in Valparaiso have reported similar sightings, whispering about a demonio pequeño haunting the town. The video Miguel captured spread online, fueling fear and speculation. To this day, No one knows what they saw, but the town has never felt the same. I'm a father named Michael, living in a quiet suburb outside Denver, Colorado. Last spring, I was on a mission to find a reliable car for my daughter Sarah's 19th birthday. I scoured all the usual sites, auto auctions, dealer pages, but everything was overpriced. Then I turned to a local classified site and found a gem, a 2004 Honda Accord with only 55,000 miles, no accidents, and listed for just $3,200. It seemed like the deal of a lifetime. The seller, who called himself Tom, lived about 12 miles away in a rural pocket of the county. I called in to arrange a visit, and he sounded calm and professional. "The car's in perfect shape, Michael. No issues at all. Come by whenever you're ready." I grabbed $3,200 in cash, hoping to negotiate a bit, and drove out to Tom's place, arriving early on a foggy April morning. His property was a small, rundown house surrounded by a sprawling, unkempt lot. The garage door was open, revealing a chaotic mess of car parts, tires, engines, and rusted tools, but no Honda Accord. The only vehicle in sight was a beat-up old van parked in the driveway. I double-checked the address on the mailbox. It was correct. I knocked on the front door, but the doorbell was broken, just a loose wire dangling where the button should have been. No answer. I knocked for nearly 10 minutes, growing uneasy as the fog thickened around me. I dialed Tom's number, and a faint ring echoed from inside the house. My confusion deepened. If he was home, why wasn't he answering? Curiosity got the better of me, and I peered through a grimy window into the house. The interior was dark, but I could make out an old dining table covered in dust. Across the room, by the back door, stood a figure staring out into the yard, motionless. Assuming it was Tom, I tapped on the glass. "Hey, Tom? I'm here for the car." No response. The figure didn't even flinch. The backyard was open, no fence or gate, so I walked around, my boots sinking into the muddy grass. As I approached the back door, my blood ran cold. The figure wasn't a person, it was a mannequin, or worse, something preserved, dressed in tattered clothes and posed like a statue. Its lifeless eyes stared blankly into the distance. My heart pounded as I sprinted back to my car, stealing one last glance at the house. The blinds in the window I'd looked through were now closed, but two slats were bent open, as if someone was watching me. I floored it home, my mind racing. The car parts, the missing Accord, that horrifying figure, it all pointed to one thing. Tom wasn't selling a car. He had other plans, and I'd narrowly escaped them. I still don't know what he intended, but the thought of what could have happened haunts me. On October 15, 1972, a hiker named Eric Larson and his two daughters were exploring a remote trail in the Jotunheimen National Park, Norway, when they made a gruesome discovery: the charred remains of a woman, surrounded by scattered sleeping pills and a canister of kerosene. Her clothes had no tags, her fingerprints were obliterated, and a dental analysis revealed work unique to clinics in South America. Who was she? Eric whispered to his daughters, shielding them from the sight. Investigators traced her to a locker at a train station in Oslo, where they found two suitcases containing a bottle of lotion with the doctor's name scratched off, fragments of glass with partial prints, and 600 Norwegian kroner, about $400. Hidden in the suitcase lining were coded diaries, later deciphered as a list of cities she'd visited across Europe under 9 different aliases. Witnesses described a woman who wore wigs, spoke fluent French, German, and Spanish, and always ordered oatmeal with milk at hotels, frequently switching rooms to ones with balconies. A local fisherman came forward years later, claiming he'd seen her 5 days before her body was found. She looked terrified, like she was running from something, he told police. He said she tried to mouth a message to him, but 2 men in dark coats were trailing her closely. When he reported it at the time, an officer allegedly dismissed him, saying, "Forget her. She's gone. This case is closed." The fisherman waited 35 years to share his story publicly, fearing retaliation. The woman's identity and the truth behind her death remains one of Norway's darkest unsolved mysteries. On July 12, 1876, a young man named Thomas Reed took on a daring challenge in the bustling town of Warwick, England. Known for his speed, Thomas had bragged about his running prowess, and a group of locals dared him to race 15 miles to the neighboring town of Stratford in record time. "I'll do it faster than anyone," he boasted to the crowd at the local pub. Accompanied by two friends, William Cole and Edward Finch, who followed in a horse-drawn cart, Thomas set off at dawn, his confidence unshaken. William brought his camera to document the feat, capturing Thomas as he ran down the dusty road. "Keep up, lads," Thomas called back, grinning as he sprinted. The trio exchanged banter, and Thomas never left their sight. But halfway through the race, something unthinkable happened. Thomas stumbled, letting out a blood-curdling scream. "Help!" he cried, his voice piercing the morning air. William and Edward watched in horror as Thomas pitched forward, only to vanish mid-fall, his body dissolving into thin air before hitting the ground. The road told the story. Thomas's footprints stopped abruptly in the dirt, as if he'd been plucked from existence. He was right there, and then, nothing. Edward stammered to the authorities. A massive search followed, with bloodhounds scouring the area, but the dogs refused to approach the spot where Thomas disappeared, whimpering and pulling back. William's photographs showed the footprints trailing off into nothingness. Thomas was never seen again, and the mystery of his vanishing remains unsolved. On the night of January 17, 1860, a light snowfall blanketed the rural countryside of Dorset, England. The next morning, villagers woke to a chilling discovery: a trail of strange, hoof-like marks etched into the snow, stretching over 80 miles through fields, villages, and even over obstacles. The prints, measuring 2 to 3 inches wide and spaced precisely 9 inches apart, didn't deviate, cutting straight through hedges, walls, and even rooftops dusted with snow. They appeared inside narrow drain pipes, as small as 5 inches in diameter, and on the tops of high stone walls, as if whatever made them defied gravity. Whispers spread of a demonic creature roaming the night, and terrified locals armed themselves with rifles and lanterns, scouring the countryside for answers. "It's the devil himself," one farmer muttered to his neighbor, gripping his pitchfork. Sightings of a shadowy, horned figure only fueled the panic, but no one could track the source. The marks vanished as mysteriously as they appeared, leaving no trace of the creature responsible. Decades later, on February 8, 2011, similar tracks were found in Dorset after another light snowfall. The prints matched the 1860 incident almost exactly, reigniting old fears. "It's back," a local shopkeeper whispered to a reporter, her voice trembling. No explanation has ever been found, and the hoof prints remain one of England's most enduring mysteries. I'm a 27-year-old guy named Jake, living in a small city in Nevada. Last summer, I was in the market for a cheap iPhone 6. I found a listing on a local classified site for one in like-new condition for just $180. The seller, who called himself Ryan, said he was upgrading to a newer model. I'm no tech expert, so I brought my cousin Ethan, who knows phones inside and out, to check it out. We agreed to meet Ryan at a 24-hour diner parking lot in Reno at 9:30 p.m. on a sweltering July night. Two burly guys stepped out of a dark gray SUV and approached us. One of them, presumably Ryan, held up the phone, which looked flawless, no scratches, no dents. Ethan swapped my SIM card into it, ran some tests, and gave me a nod. "It's legit," he whispered. But then Ryan threw a curveball. "Price is $230 now. You said $180 in the ad." I shot back, annoyed. "I only brought $180. It was a lie. I had $250, but I wasn't about to pay more than advertised." Ryan's face twitched, clearly irritated, but he took the $180, and he and his friend got back in their SUV. Ethan and I hopped into my car, and I tested the phone by calling my roommate. Everything worked perfectly. We sat there for a few minutes, messing with the settings, when Ethan noticed something odd. Those guys haven't left yet. I shrugged it off and started driving home. But as we merged onto the highway, Ethan pointed out the SUV pulling out right behind us. That's them, Jake. They started their car the second we did. My pulse quickened. At a stoplight, I noticed the SUV right on our tail, despite coming from the opposite direction at the diner. Every turn we made, they followed, staying uncomfortably close. Ethan urged me to pull over, but I knew better. These guys weren't after a friendly chat. I sped up, weaving through side streets to lose them. They stayed glued to us, their headlights glaring in my rearview mirror. Desperate, I took a risky move. As a light turned red, I gunned it through the intersection, tires screeching. Ethan yelled, "Are you insane?" But it worked. The SUV didn't follow. We got home, shaken but safe. I thought it was over. Later that night, as I fiddled with the phone's settings, I heard 2 car doors slam outside. My heart sank. I peeked through my bedroom window and saw the gray SUV parked across the street. Footsteps approached the house. I woke my uncle, who lives with us, and explained everything in a frantic whisper. He grabbed a crowbar and stationed himself by the front door. A loud knock echoed through the house, followed by a voice. "Open the door, or I'll shoot the lock off." My uncle shouted back, "Get out of here." I called our neighbor, a cop named Mike, who lived a block away. "Stay hidden. I'm coming," Mike said. Then, a muffled pop, a silenced gunshot. A bullet hole appeared in the door, inches from my uncle's head. We ducked, hearts racing, until we heard Mike's voice outside. "Drop your weapons." Now, the men complied, and Mike arrested them. It was the most terrifying night of my life, but also a strange relief. I'd gotten a working phone for a steal. Still, I can't shake the feeling that those guys had something far worse planned than just a sale. I'm a 24-year-old woman named Emily, living in a small town in Oregon. About 6 weeks ago, I was scrolling through a local online marketplace, hunting for a cheap desk for my new loft apartment in downtown Salem. I stumbled across a listing that seemed like a steal, a sleek wooden desk in pristine condition, according to the photos. The seller, who went by the email, gave me an uneasy feeling with that cryptic address, but the price was too good to pass up. I shot him an email with an offer, expecting a delay. To my surprise, he replied in under 3 minutes, accepting my offer and immediately asking for my address. "Can you send me your full address? I can deliver it tonight," he wrote. That request sent a chill down my spine. The idea of a stranger showing up at my place made my stomach turn. "I'd rather pick it up myself," I replied, trying to keep things on my terms. But he was relentless, pushing to come to me. "It's no trouble at all. I'll bring it right to your door." His insistence felt off, like he was too eager. I stopped responding, hoping he'd take the hint. The next evening, he emailed again, this time giving me his address in a quiet neighborhood just outside town. Against my better judgment, the deal was so tempting that I decided to check it out. It felt almost too perfect, like a trap waiting to spring. I drove my SUV to the address, a small, weathered house tucked away on a street lined with larger homes. The place looked out of place, like it didn't belong. I rang the doorbell, and a lanky man in his late 40s, wearing a faded trucker hat, opened the door with a grin that stretched too wide. "Hey there, Emily. Come on in, desk's right inside." His overly friendly tone made my skin crawl, but I followed him into a dimly lit living room. The desk was there, but it was far from the pristine piece in the photos, scratched, wobbly, with deep gouges in the wood. "This isn't what you advertised," I said, trying to hide my irritation. He just smirked and offered to slash the price even further. "How about half off? Or maybe," his voice dropped, and his eyes lingered on me, "I could give it to you for free if you do something for me." My stomach lurched. "I'm not interested," I snapped, turning toward the door. As I moved, his hand grazed my arm, and I froze. "No need to rush off, sweetheart." I didn't respond, just bolted to my SUV and peeled out of there, heart pounding. I didn't dare look back. That night, as I lay in bed streaming a show, a faint noise broke my focus, heavy footsteps climbing the wooden stairs to my porch. I muted the TV, my heart racing as I heard the unmistakable sound of someone jiggling the front doorknob. I crept to the door and peered through the peephole, but no one was there. Then, from the backyard, I heard the creak of my gate swinging open and shut. Panic surged through me. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, my voice shaking as I whispered to the operator. Moments later, the back door rattled, like someone was testing the lock. "The police are coming," I shouted, hoping to scare them off. The gate creaked again, and then silence. They were gone. It's been 6 weeks, and I haven't heard from the man since, but I'm convinced it was him. He must have followed me home that day. The coincidence is too much to ignore. I've sworn off online marketplaces and am already looking for a new place to live. Every creak in my apartment now keeps me awake, wondering if he's out there, watching.